Hello, friends. Tyler here. So today, gonna talk about the dark night of the soul, or dark night of the ego. uh, so I'm gonna talk about my personal dark night of the soul and what it is. So, what is the dark night of the soul? Basically, what it is, it's a period you go through where you effectively lose all the your identity. You lose who you thought you were, so your entire life gets stripped away from you, the life you built in order to make room for your new life, your more authentic life to come in. And then also, as your entire life is stripped away from you, you know, your friends, your career, your health, etc., on an internal level, you are dealing with everything that has to go. You're effectively undoing yourself so that you can bring in the new self, your more in aligned with your soul, more authenticity. So it's like everything strips away, and then you go through a period where the new hasn't come in, and that's a very difficult process where your old identity is stripped from you and the new one hasn't come in yet. You're kind of in this colorless void with no light at the end of the tunnel. So that's basically it. So for me, gosh, I my dark night of the soul really started probably like 8-9 years ago. My whole identity was wrapped around powerlifting and bodybuilding and working out at the gym. It was like my whole life, my absolute favorite thing in the world. And I suffered a pretty bad injury at work that completely took that away from me, with no hope of it coming back. Because the injury affected me so badly that I was never, and I'm still not able to lift like I used to. And now, or play hockey, or really do lots of things that defined who I was. Um, so that was extremely heartbreaking, where the main thing I had to get up in the morning was stripped away from me in a single moment. And then in combination with that, my other aspect of my identity was drinking and doing weed and drugging. And then I started getting health problems constantly. I had like fatty liver like 3 times, so I couldn't drink. Marijuana started giving me like crazy stomach pain every time I smoked. So I had to stop smoking. So that was stripped away from me. And then I started to wake up, become awakened. And then all my friendships were not suitable for me anymore. And then I started not feeling connected with any of my friends. And then gradually due to other reasons too, not just that, I lost all my friends. So I through this dark night of the soul. It was a combination of back injury and health problems and trying to fix that with no real sense of a hobby or a passion, because my main ones all had to do with athleticism. So not knowing what to do with that, not being able to drink or smoke to numb myself and to party and stuff, and then not having any friends. So I went like 4 or 5 New Year's straight by myself, which, you know, when you're like 26 years old is brutal. It was brutal. I learned a lot though it was horrible. Especially, yeah, I remember some of those New Year's, especially the first New Year's by myself with, you know, no one to talk to, just piling all the alcohol into my system and ecstasy or whatever, and marijuana, ecstasy in my system as much as possible, watching porn. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So that was kind of the gist of it for me. Of course, there's more aspects to it, but yeah, it's like an ego death. Like everything you thought you were, that you were going to be, is stripped away from you, and the newness has not come in. So those are kind of the uncomfortable aspects of my dark night of the soul, or dark night of the ego. I say that because it's really an ego death. You know, your soul is always shining bright. So it's more of a dark night of the ego identity. So I can see now, like 8 years later, how this was extremely necessary for my growth, and allowed me to bring forward new jewels into my life that previously weren't, and probably wouldn't have been unless I went through this sort of process. So the new things that came in, one, I had a spiritual awakening. This brought forward an awakening where I was in college, and I just saw all the pieces fit together so perfect, and how God, you know, sort of set me up in this perfect way, and it all clicked. And then I had an awakening where I knew that God is real. I experienced God and oneness, and I was like crying of gratitude and awakening. And then with that, then I got a new hobby and interest in spiritual topics and things. So it opened up a whole new Pandora's box of interest. So, you know, research, like what happens to everyone, researching spiritual topics, learning about breath work and meditation and esoteric knowledge and everything else. And then the other new thing that came in was I found I had a love for writing, specifically writing rap, and sort of inspiring poetic rhyme verse. And I had a natural ability to do it well. It was a talent, a kind of a dormant gift that became present. So, and that was kind of replaced the working out, and is even a more authentic hobby than the powerlifting. So I had this combination of spiritual awakening and study with being able to rap and write inspiring poetry. Those were two new aspects. And then I started to join groups and meet people. And through the soul, dark night of the ego, I was able to, uh, it naturally, because you're isolated so much and sort of the waters are boiling, everything coming up to the surface to be resolved. That's pretty much what the spiritual awakening process is, an undoing of everything that's non-authentic and a bringing into your authenticity. So I started to face all these demons and things and resolve them, peeling the onion of the authenticity. And then more of my authentic soul started to come forward. And as a result of that, I now been able to meet soulmate relationships. I've met two people that I've known through lifetimes. I've had the privilege of meeting and following some of the most powerful, advanced, profound teachers like ever. I found so many amazing teachers. Shri and Kira, those are the ones I'm talking about when I say extremely advanced and high level ascension style teaching. And I had the privilege to study under them for like 7 years. So that was an amazing experience. Victor Odo was a very, if you know him on YouTube, he's pretty popular, very important for my awakening. Elliot Hulse, he was fundamental for me to learn about that the body is the mind, and facing your emotions, your issues reside in your tissues, movement, breathing. I actually met him at a meditation camp in Austin, Texas. That was extremely cool. Tobias Lars, another very advanced spiritual teacher, very authentic and sort of abrasive in a good way, blunt. I would definitely recommend following him. So I learned so much from him. And then, yeah, I went to Los Angeles for a spiritual conference, which, again, would never have been able to happen. Like, I was like a Christian before, didn't even think about spiritual or anything, didn't even care. I didn't even care before. And then I had this dark night of the soul, and it turns out I am naturally into these kind of things. So I went to a spiritual conference in LA with Shri and Kira, the teachers I mentioned previous, and it was great. I met a lot of super cool people there, and then I had the absolute blessing of meeting a soulmate there, a guy named Jerry, who for me has been like one of the biggest blessings of my life. And so now I have this good soulmate relationship, and I can feel for myself that now that I've removed so much baggage and have more clarity as to what is really in alignment with soul, things like, for me, things like poetic rapping, spiritual, meditation, ice baths, being a teacher, doing these YouTube videos, stuff like that. Now that I'm in more alignment with authenticity and I'm vibrating at that frequency, as a natural result of that, you are able to connect with people on a more authentic soul level rather than before your dark night of the soul. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think I'm out of it now. Thank God. Oh, I didn't even mention another thing that happened to me in this dark night of the soul was I had like 7 concussions. So, if you've ever had a concussion, you have to take time away from screens and physical activity and things of that nature. You can't do anything. So they're tough. They can last like 3 months. They last like 3 months a few times, or 2-3 months. So I had like 7 concussions. I also went to the hospital a few times. Other health problems like just like where like every aspect of your life becomes like a problem where there's like no solution in sight. Like they're all things that like this is like for everyone, like dark night of the ego. It's not like these problems that have like easy solutions. No, it's stuff like bankruptcy, cancer, relationships ending, divorce, loneliness. Like it's not easy little things. Though it definitely necessary, and going through this, for anyone who goes through it, it does give you a special kind of wisdom, for sure, that cannot be learned in books. So it gives you a special kind of vibration and wisdom, especially if you went through a lot of solitude and isolation. That is like the number one way to know yourself, because you're not distracted and you're basically forced to face and confront yourself. Okay, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. See you.